What's going on, everybody? Keith Niebuhr with Auburn Live at On 3, and I am on the driving range this Saturday morning in Florida, but I'm ready to take your Auburn football recruiting questions. Let's get right to it. All right, first down, G. Russ asks, in my opinion, who is the one prospect in the 2023 class that the coaching staff sees is a must-get? Well, I think it's got to be Quay Russaw. I mean, there are really no must-gets. You know, you can survive without landing anybody, really. But obviously, you want guys that can elevate your program. Quay Russaw is that guy. Here's why. Obviously, he's a five-star talent, great size, great body, frame, muscle, all that stuff, quick twitch. He's really an outstanding player. That's why he's a top 20 recruit in the country. Also, Auburn has a huge need at the edge position. That's significant. I mean, this is a guy that could come in and challenge for early playing time in year one. You're going to probably lose Derek Hall and Iku Leota, your top edge guys, so the need is there. Proximity to home. He's right down the road in Montgomery. So you got all these factors. Elite in-state guy. He is the guy, all right? He is the guy. And then obviously if you land him, you're going to get five-star defensive tackle James Smith as well. Now, who is the guy that I think is a must-get? Well, I really am going to say Janoris Wilson, and I'm going to tell you why. That's a three-star offensive tackle in Lakeland, Florida. Why is he a must-get? Because Auburn has put a lot of work into this guy. He isn't being recruited by too many of the elite programs in the country. You can't lose this guy. You've worked on him for months. You've identified him as a top target. You've prioritized him, right? So you have to land him. Right now, UCF's probably the biggest threat. Some other schools sniffing around. North Carolina offered recently. If he plays at a high level, more offers could come. But he's going to officially visit on September 17th, the weekend of the Penn State game. You can't lose that guy. You'd love to land Quay Russaw, the five-star edge, don't get me wrong, but you can't miss on a guy like Janoris Wilson, who you've put so much time and energy into, and position of need as well, offensive tackle, where it's just been a desert of prospects signing with Auburn in recent years. So that's my pick. Janoris Wilson for me, for the staff, probably Quay Russaw. All right, G Moneymaker wants to know, on second down, who's the best recruiter on staff, on the Auburn staff? Which guy is the best guy right now, and why? Well, I'm going to go with Cadillac Williams. Look at the guys he's signed since he got to Auburn. Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, Damari Alston. In this class, he has another four-star committed, and that's Jeremiah Cobb of Montgomery Catholic. I mean, the record speaks for itself. You don't have to sign a ton of guys. That's not really his role. His role is to go out there, help with certain guys, but really lock in on those running backs. And at that, he has done. Tank Bigsby, top 5 running back probably in the SEC. Jarquez Hunter, a lot of potential. Damari Alston, a lot of potential. Hunter has already proven that he belongs in the SEC. Hunter's the next guy up. And then Jeremiah Cobb, who very well could end up being a top 100 prospect in the 2023 class before all is said and done. Now, what makes a great recruiter? Well, a work ethic, obviously, but being able to connect with recruits on a one-on-one level, and also their families. And I would say on the Auburn staff, few are comparable to Cadillac Williams in that regard, connecting with recruits. Does he outwork the other guys? Does he identify talent early? Is he a guy that's nonstop on the phones and texting kids? That part I don't know. I haven't heard that he is, but I haven't heard that he isn't. All I know is what I've heard from parent after parent, coach after coach, recruit after recruit, is that nobody connects better with recruits than Cadillac Williams on the Auburn staff. At least that's my interpretation of it. They just think that this guy just is such a personable guy, humble despite all his success in football. You know, obviously an All-American at Auburn, NFL Rookie of the Year on the offensive side of the ball. But he's so humble, and I think that resonates with people. But also, don't forget, these kids have heard that name because Mom and Dad and Uncle Fred, they know that name. And so he's been able to get in, and he's been able to really connect with these recruits. And, I can see why. Because when you talk to Cadillac Williams, if you've ever had a chance to speak with this guy, he's as friendly, as personable, and as humble as they get. Not an ego whatsoever. I mean, there are guys in my business that have bigger egos than Cadillac Williams. And that just blows my mind. He is such a humble and likable figure, and I think that's what makes him such a great success on the recruiting trail. And I predict more success in the years to come for Cadillac. All right, third down, and you'll notice I'm rocking the new On 3 hat now. Third down, Jay Slade Young wants to know that in all my travels, what's kind of the weirdest what's the weirdest concession food? Sorry, we've got guys golfing over here. Weirdest concession food I've come across, and has anything compared to catfish on bread, the full catfish on bread. Well, I haven't seen that at a concession stand. I actually don't eat much at games, to be honest with you. What I do is I usually get there early, stand on the sideline. Sometimes I'll get a Chick-fil-A sandwich. At halftime, I'll go get a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, whatever they're serving. But I don't generally look at the full menu. So I'm actually the worst person to ask at this. I'm trying to lose weight, not put weight on. So, but I will tell you, my favorite meal that I've ever had was just a simple cup of boiled peanuts in Albany, Georgia, excuse me. And I was there to watch Trent Thompson, former 5-star who signed with Georgia, 5-star defensive lineman that Auburn probably finished second or third for. But those boiled peanuts at that old stadium in Albany, again, where I believe a minor league baseball team once played. You know, people forget in the old days, towns like Albany and Americus, Georgia had minor league teams, had those little minor league teams that would barnstorm across the country, kind of like in Field of Dreams, you know, that whole thing. But the boiled peanuts there were out of this world. But again, I've never really come across anything too crazy. I'll be on the lookout now, though. All right, 4th down. And Zuni, one of our good posters, asked, Keith, which defensive lineman in this class does Auburn have the best chance of landing? And also, does Auburn have a shot, or what kind of shot does Auburn have flipping defensive tackle Darren Reed from Columbus, Georgia's Carver High School from LSU? All right, first question. The best chance with any defensive lineman is probably got to be Jamarian Harkless, the former Illinois commit, who's officially visiting this weekend, this Saturday, this September 10th. You know, again, decommitted recently from Illinois, has offers from a lot of schools, but it sounds like, based on Jeffrey Lee, my coworker, sounds like based on his reporting, that's really coming down to Auburn and Ole Miss. And Auburn may have the lead going into this visit. He grew up an Auburn fan. He's a huge fan of former Auburn quarterback Cam Newton. So that probably gives Auburn an edge. Now, is it a sure thing that he commits? No, because they haven't seen him in person. So he'll visit, they'll size him up, look at the body type, the height, make sure everything's in order, and then kind of gauge his personality. Is he a guy that would fit into the culture of my program? That's what you have to ask if you're Brian Harsin. But Jamarian Harkless, to me, is the one to watch right now. And Auburn really kind of has a lot of irons in the fire with other guys, you know, Jordan Hall in Florida, people like that. But Keldrick Falk, edged and from Highland Home, is committed to FSU. They're still working him, Highland Home to Alabama. But really, out of all of them, it seems like Harkless is probably where they're in the best shape right now. Now, Darren Reed, LSU commit, visited last weekend for the Mercer game. That was a little bit of a surprise. We expected him at the Auburn-Penn State game next weekend, but not at that game. He showed up, raved about it, liked what he saw. He said, hey, Jimmy Brumbaugh, the defensive line coach, told me they were going to do some things and they were going to look a certain way, and they did. So he was impressed by that. He actually got there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So he spent 5-6 hours with different people on the staff before the game even started. Okay, so that was a success. Got quality time on the field before the game to watch the defensive linemen work out and pregame warmups. So that worked out well. So overall, it's a huge success for Auburn. He's going to be back for the Penn State game, and he also wants to come back 2 weeks later for the LSU game. So the question is, if you're Auburn, do you want him back for the LSU game? He is an LSU commit. If you feel like you're going to blow them out, yeah, you probably want him there. But if it's a 50-50 game that you could lose and his emotions take over pulling for the other team, I don't know. It's always a little bit of a tricky thing when you're trying to bring in a guy that's committed to the school that you're playing. So something to watch there. But he's already officially visited Auburn. He's bonded with Jimmy Brumbaugh. He's getting personal attention from the staff. He's absolutely 100 positively a priority recruit. Now, what gives Auburn hope? Well, at one time he was actually thought to be maybe an FSU lean. Then he was thought to be an Ohio State lean. Then he committed to LSU. Does that mean he's a guy that's kind of constantly be looking around, maybe get pulled in different directions? Very personable young guy. Maybe Auburn has a shot. Look, he keeps visiting. That's significant. He's just got to keep connecting with the staff. They've got to keep showing him, and not just telling him, but showing him, here's why you would fit in. Here is how much Auburn needs you. And let's be honest, guys, Auburn's going to have to really replenish that defensive line over the next couple cycles. You need guys like Darren Reed. You're talking about a top 100 national talent. You know what I mean? So to me, Auburn does have a chance. I'd put it in the 35 to 45% range. But again, if he has another great visit for the Penn State weekend and Auburn can win and can impress him, I think that percentage goes up. So I don't love where Auburn sits right now, but I like where Auburn sits now better than I did a couple weeks ago. Auburn's trending up with him, but not necessarily trending for him, if you get my drift. So got a chance. All right, that's it for 4 down territory. But before we go, you guys are gonna watch me hit a 7-iron.